Good evening, everybody. Happy Sunday. And here's to a fresh new week. So with this live, I actually wanted majority of you guys here because I actually wanted to interact with you guys and literally just ask questions, basically see how everybody's trading is coming along. Basically independently trading for yourself as opposed to just usually people just want handouts. They don't want to do the work. But when you do the work, everything basically becomes easier. Everything starts to make more sense. And a lot of you are grasping that now. So right now here, we have ES, standard chart. I'm gonna put it on the 2D. Just gonna give you guys some visuals, some levels I have. Nothing crazy. These are actually just standard levels. So based off of last week, we had a big move. Not many anticipated that move. Thank goodness we did. Based off the glizzy, off the weekly, that was basically what I was looking for. So I'm going to go to the weekly. And as you can see here, just basic, you have your middle Celt, your upper Celt, your Keltner channels in general. I drew a trend line, as you can see there. That trend line break was very important because that trend line, once that broke, that targeted the middle Celt, since we based at the lower Celt. And my thing, what I was trying to tell people was if we were going to crash, the crash, I'm going to show you right now, I'm getting my annotation. The crash would have happened here. We would have just fell off. What would happen? We based. So what happened here? We were inside. We stood inside as we based here, 3603-ish, 3600. And then what happened? Inside, and then we went up. So this candle here engulfed all three of these candles, not including the wick, but all three of these candles' bodies. From there, we proceeded to hold another key area, which was resistance, now formed the support, but also this trend line here, plus this level here, 3761. This weekly candle, when we went inside up, we rejected at the middle Celt. So immediately there, this was a bull trap in a sense, not really, but this got shorts, got more shorts in here on this weekly candle here. And that was what I was worried about going into last week, was that candle, to be exact, because that candle, everything is going to be based off of this candle here. And that was 1031 candle, weekly candle. So this candle basically set the tone. And as long as we stood above 3761.34, what happened? We came back down and we went again inside, up and out, breaching the middle Celt. Last time we breached the middle Celt, as you can see, I'm going to show you right here. If you look back, previous areas, we breached the middle Celt here, closed above it, went inside, then we went inside up. We didn't necessarily get to the upper Celt, but we did have a resistance around 4321. And then from there, we just rejected. We're back inside the 30 SMA, started riding the middle Celt. Then we got a glizzy down. So this was an inside, followed by an inside up into an outside down move here, confirming breaking this 3884 level here, which that level is now important to where we are now. So there's a lot of key factors going into this week. My main thing I'm looking at is always an inside week. After a big move, I always look for inside weeks because it's very rare you get another continued move after a big week like that, especially that range last week was crazy, 271 points to be exact. So we have a couple of levels for this week going into this week. I always want to start with Celts and then my SMAs. Those are the two main things I like to look for. And then we'll get to our levels. The levels also support those as well. So we have the middle Celt, which is our support. That line, that coincides with 39, 36, 19, which is one of our support levels. If you backtrack that, you can see that was also a resistance level. Now, if you look at the 14 SMA, that was resistance as well when we formed the glizzy and went inside and then broke above that as well. But another key one was the 30 SMA, which is your yellow line here. Dotted line, the yellow dotted line is your 30, your 14 is the blue dotted line. You can change the color to what you want it to be, and green is the middle Celt. Now what I'm looking for is an inside week, possibly, or a retest back to 39, 36, 19. I want to stay above this 30 SMA. We have a trend line that is there, and it's a hidden one. You can see it. I always give myself some hidden trend lines because just in case we do top again, it's like, oh, how did I miss that? There's no SMAs there. There's no levels there, but this price level is 40.92. That's here. So I would like to see a retest between 38.84 to 39.36, a bounce there, and then we can push off, or we can just stay in range from between 39.36 and 4,003. I wouldn't mind saying inside there, kill some premiums for the following week, not just this week. This week, the premiums are just going to be up and down. But my goal is to burn more premiums for the following week because that makes getting another entry after on this back test to play the long side. And that long side, we're looking for a break. Hold on 1 second. Again, guys, can turn off your videos, please. Thank you. I gotta change my settings for this. I didn't update my settings on this for this laptop. So the key is gonna be 4,003. I'm not looking for that to break anytime in the beginning of the week. I'm looking for more of a retest of the middle Celt. That is gonna be our target. That's sitting around 39, 32.99. Now there, we're gonna watch that level. That coincides with the 30 SMA as well. I want to see that back test. So that's your weekly chart. So we're going to go down to the 4D. That's just below the weekly. I want to see where we are there. Nice. 4D started 11:10. So today is the 13th. So we started Thursday and we should be closing. Yeah, we started Thursday, so we should be closing Tuesday. So this candle should close by Tuesday. So by Tuesday is where we're going to see exactly what's going to happen with this 4,003 level. And again, I would like us to top by Tuesday, stay up here, and then come back in, retest 39.36 going into Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, third test going there by Friday into Monday, maybe a little lower, then get a nice entry next Monday to go long again. But again, that all can change. But if you're looking at past movements and setups on this chart, I love referencing past moves. I feel like that's important. And not literally the big moves, just setups. For example, a good one would be that I like in the current state we are in is here. This candle, this is where we are right now. The following is something similar like this, and it was supported above the 30 SMA. Here, the 14 to 30 are actually a little bit tighter. We are not inside them anymore. as far as over here we had a 40 candle combo back to back. Now I would look like I'm looking for this next 40 to start that starts well it starts next well it starts this Wednesday and it ends next Monday. So we'll be stuck in 4,003 to 388, 384 range until next Monday. That will be the plan. But anything is possible. The sooner we touch 39.36, the sooner we start going long again. Hence why I brought up I have a nice URI play. I mean, my whole goal is to capture as much movements as possible to both sides, buying enough time that we can get a 20 to 50 or even 100% move on our premiums buying 2 to 3 weeks out. And that's been the case since this weekend past week and the week before that. So my ultimate goal is always to play safe. Always use weeklies, lottos to confirm moves. So if a lotto pays out as it's supposed to, then that confirms that our core is supported by that. So it works out. So I will take a lotto, that lotto works, it pays, then I can basically cut half of my core and let the rest of it play out by itself, which we did. So I'm going to go over URI because this move was gorgeous this week. And so many other names. ROKU exceeded the move I thought it was going to do. My move was 54 from Monday. It's low. And then we hit 61 or 62 by Friday. My max was 54. URI, it was the flag. But most importantly, this is a 4D. So we got some uppercut rejection. Also coincides with that 348.91. I would like us to come back down inside, possibly fill this little mini gap between the previous 40 candle that was, what was that? 11.4. So again, not much. My whole thing going into this week is I will be taking short-term puts on some of the names that are already in long-term that are actually runners, because question I got last Friday in the morning, I think it was Friday or Thursday, somebody was like, why are you selling? Like, why are you taking profit, right? On a position that we had 3 weeks left and like 3 full weeks left. We got it in last week, but we bought out 3 weeks. So that gives us 3 weeks till expiry. And within that time, the premiums, this was 3M, went from 50 cents to 3.50, almost $4, right? So me, scale on the way up, always scale on the way up. Always have main targets in mind, because those main targets that you have in mind are going to be where you scale out the most. And then that's when you're able to let your runners run, and that's another thing a lot of people have to understand. Like, having runners, it's important to have runners because you'll be able to do anything with them. They are runners for a reason. So you have a position that's up 500%. Those runners are 1,000% free. They can go, you can even sell them lower and you're still in profit because they are runners for that reason. I call it like money left over that's just sitting there until it expires. And it can even expire at 0 or expires at its last price or whatever like that, whatever that would be. And that's basically how that works. So remember what happens when it expires and the money for you, then that converts to shares, but we never let that get that far. So yeah, it's see profit, take profit. my thing is, if you're questioning somebody like, why are you selling? It still has room. Well, that person is selling that you're questioning is actually smarter than you. And I mean that in a literal sense of they like money. They're not greedy because let's say you held everything and you just started scaling out Friday towards the end. And you're like, oh, I have 50 contracts. I'm gonna scale out 10. Come Monday, those contracts are down 70%. Now the person you were questioning is looking at you like, oh, so how did that go with that sale? Like with the holding. And now you're upset and that is all on you because you want to be the greedy person. My thing is you got to take every trade as if there's always going to be another one. So if you are up nicely and you haven't been up in a while, or you haven't hit a percentage gain like this, or you haven't hit a gain like this, a dollar gain like this before, why not take it? I mean, it'll be amazing if we can do the same trade twice, meaning separate and separate. I mean, you can do it in separate accounts, but not in the same account. It's better just to buy double the shares so that you can always just scale out half and then have the other half and then scale out half of that half to where that you always feel like you're in the position. Buying time also gives you that. That's one of my methods is always buying time. So back to URI, you have the 4D expires Tuesday. So we're going to come down to the 2D. I look at the 3D as well, always. And let's see what we got. This is the 2D. So 2D, 11:10, Friday, 2D closes, new 2D opens tomorrow. It's going to be very interesting. Now, if this 2D opens at 348.91 and holds that level, we can see somewhat of a breach here. The main level is going to be that 370. That's going to be our breakout targeting 400. So I've sold majority of my 400 calls. I told you guys we got in, started at 4, averaged down, we averaged down into 250. So by 250 is where you got your max scale in so that your premiums so your average is decent, and they got all the way up to $10 or $1,000 per contract. So from that point, that's 500% from 250. But if your average is around 3 to 4, you're still up 200% on them. So why not take off majority? I have one left because my goal is to get back in at least half of what I paid for. And I think that will be possible depending on how we ride this upper count. That's going to be the key here. So keep that in mind. I have blue and yellow fibs. One's an extension and one is a retracement. I like to have them both because I know which one is which. Retracement is for the pullback. Extension is for the long. So the pullback will be considered in short. I do my prediction boxes to duplicate based off the previous move. So I take that box, go off of this high where we are, but it's actually from this yellow box is from the last earnings. So it starts from the last earnings candle, which was here, going off the green day of that earnings. So that would be for this one, it was here. Still similar to this one over here. Let me change the color. Purple's not even doing anything better. But you guys get the idea. So within this box, we're going to play this box down, right? And my goal is to target. Let me get an arrow. So came from this top here, which rejected the trend line, came back down here. Then we had this was the move. It played inside of this green trend line. You can see here, came down to the lower kelp and hit the top again. Now the goal is to see something similar again. So going into the new year, come down here. It can be short-lived to where it's not that big of a move down. but I would like to see the middle candle support 316.20 around there. I mean, if it did come down, 276 would be actually a great retest, but I would like something like here. And then we get that retest to breach and break out to 415, 425. This was it 348.91, 348.91. That would be our breakout above this key, this level right here. So keep that in mind. So I like the downside move. I would take 3 weeks out, about 20 to 30 points. Maybe something even closer, to be honest. I especially if I'm playing with size, which I try not to right away. So I like to scale in, and then I really like to add and build there. If it goes against me, then I'm scaling out, and I usually give it that same day. And then we have earnings coming up next year, so it will make sense for when earnings does come up, we get a move and we just start breaking out into 400. So this is what I like for the URI going into the week. So keep that in mind. And the weekly, you could look at the weekly for that as well. I'm a big fan of looking at the bigger pictures, quarterlies, monthlies. A lot of people don't pay attention to those too much. Those are important. See, weekly rejected upper calc, closed there. So once it hit that green line, you could have did a close to the money short to 350 when it was around 3. What is it? High was 362. So you get a 10-point drop. I like that. But this is going to be important. Inside weekly between 348.91 and 327.23. With 341 would be a nice short right there into that and see how that holds up. But these candles are not the same from the previous test of this trend line and this bull flag. We still got that inverted head and shoulders that I pointed out a couple of weeks back. The neckline is that 348.91. That is going to be the break. And there we can get 420 into the new year too. So this is going to be very interesting, guys. This is going to be very interesting. But I think we're gonna have a good time with this trade. This is gonna be a great trade, to be honest with you. Playing both sides, like that's the goal. Scalp. You know, some people say they can't because of their job. I mean, you can definitely scalp if you have just set aside a time, like, all right, lunchtime I can do this. I can sneak away for like 5 minutes to do this trade. But if you buy time, it makes it easier. Or if you can't watch a trade, set alerts. Okay, I got an alert. Let me see if I can stop what I'm doing right now at work, or real quick, just get out this trade to hit my target, or it broke my support. Let me get out this position. Unless you have a stop loss in play. But if you're using stop losses, give yourself an ample amount of a range at least. A lot of people play with like 10%, 20%, 30%, you know, and they can just take those out and then just recover off of that. So keep that in mind. Tesla. I hate Tesla. You guys know that. But we trade Tesla so well. That short that we did was beautiful. So here's why I'm liking this long. Tesla came into this trend line here that I like. And the trend line is off of the similar type of candle that started it. A hammer here near the lower calc. Keeping that inside the lower calc. Supported by 181.56. This is your weekly chart. Now, my thing is I want to see how Tesla holds 181.56 this week and next week. So my strategy is always not just buying time, but playing it smart. So I'm going to focus on the last 4 candles from not last week's candle, but the last 4 candles previous to that. So those 4 candles, as you can see here. Hold on one second, get my drawing tool. These. Because these candles are going to be my range. These are going to be what I'm going to trade based off of. So let me get my horizontal tool. I'm going to go here. I'm not going to focus on the wicks of these 4 candles. I'm going to focus on the bodies of these 4 candles. Now, this is going to be our range, 228, and we're currently at 195. So that's about 30-ish points. Okay, so about 30-ish points. Sorry about that. The motorcycle driving by. So I want to see how this 204.66 level holds, because that 204.66 level puts us back inside this range with these candles here, these 4 candles. But if I draw this line back, it comes into here. And these other candles, which bounced off that lower cal as well. 14 and 30 are still trending down. So we have to tread carefully with this. This can be an inside week with Tesla. It can be an inside wick week, which is going to be also interesting too as well. So I want to use that closing low, which is the lower cal. That's going to be my key level for this week. I want to see it close near there this week or above. My thing is, I'm not a greedy person, so I like to wait for a setup. As much as I want the setup to work that way I want it, I like to let it play out as well. Take a start if you must. So we got a hammer off the lower cal. You see over here, the 613 candle. We have a spinning top off the lower cal, and then the trend, and then we reversed. So my target is looking at 230 calls, 2 to 3 weeks out. Taking a starter there. On a gap down, that would be great, depending on how this gap down works. But my other thing is the 181's also 2 weeks out. Well, 1 to 2 weeks out. So if I'm looking to go long here, my target will always be the 1430 and middle cal, as long as we have the lower cal supporting price. But if we continue to break down and go back to 181.56, we need this trend line to hold here, and that level also to hold there. And if it does, and we start building inside of this wick here from last week, it can be a great type of play. Then we get that reversal for that 195.60, go back inside, top around 228, build inside there, and then break back up to 275.97. We still got this little gap to fill here at 257. I'm going to look at leaps for those for March, 257s. I was looking at the 420s as well for Tesla, and I'm looking at 420s for 2024 because I do see a possible big move coming. I don't know what's going to fuel it. I'm not going to be that guy and be like, oh, Elon and this and that. I'm just looking at price, and I love how this price is basing here, to be honest, but it's all about how this holds. And if you look closely, you can also see that we are in a flag as well too with Tesla, and that flag is trending down. Hold on, guys, 1 second, because Cuddy's out here. Sorry about that, guys. I had to kick Cuddy from upstairs because he's over here licking his paws, and that is like throwing me off. There we go. He went downstairs. So here, I'm going to give you a simple trend line. I'm going to duplicate this trend line here just to bring it down and see how it coincides with price on the way down. So what can happen and what would be beautiful as well, since we're using this trend line here, I want to see us, if we do gap down and break this 181.56, I want us to recover off of this level, this trend line here. That would be nice. So I want to see how that works. This trend line is definitely going to be key going forward. So that's what I like. I'm going to show you guys the monthly. And the monthly is ending. So keep that in mind too. Don't forget. So the more we build, the better. I would not mind retest this lower count, but anything is possible. We still got that gap to fill in the monthly. We had a monthly gap down too on Tesla. So that's never out the question. I mean, I can see that hitting probably in April, but who knows? So 262s for March would be a great thing to start building. Small. That's 2023. 2024 420s, I would slowly start getting into those. I was checking those out a lot as well. So as far as the plays we are currently in, we got 3M, we got runners. I sold all of my contracts. I couldn't resist. And I did it because of what I was looking at on the charts, respecting my levels. And this is why I tell you guys, have your own levels, because my levels, I respect them. So if you're going to follow my levels, you will have to respect them in the sense of taking profit, not being greedy. Like if my level is saying, oh, it can go this far. Yeah, it can go this far, but you have to also take in consideration that things need to pull back and need to breathe. There's still room on this monthly, but this is the monthly chart. You can see my little trend line here. We are holding that lower back above that lower kelp, targeting 146, but I want to retest. So here's the weekly. I want to go down real quick from the monthly to the weekly. Oh, this is gorgeous. Weekly. Why I sold everything? Because everything hit 30 SMA. Now 30 SMA, it stalls. Will it do what the other one did? Who knows? What I would like is a back test. I would love an inside week, or come a little bit inside and then bounce off right back above the 30 SMA, and then we can target that upper kelp into the new year. 150 calls are moving nicely. I told you guys I like the 130s, 140s, and 150s that I talked to you guys about. Those are up nicely. I'm not in any, but they are up nicely. I've been watching them and telling them. All of these plays that I come up with are just based off of charts, not flow. I don't really care for flow, to be honest with you guys. That doesn't do nothing for me. But as you can see, just simple trend lines. You want a bigger picture to buy more time. And like I told you guys, like for instance, BLK. I think that was a 3-week play. That 3-week play, and look at this freaking candle. This is a yearly, right? Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Nice insight yearly, bounced off. Where's that monthly at? It's the monthly candle. All the rejections we hit on Friday after that big move. Look at what we hit. I would like 800, but after stalling here at the middle kelp and closing there on the weekly, like at the end of the week, plus that's the monthly, and the monthly's not even done yet. A pullback to the 30 SMA and 40 SMA would be nice for a possible continuation. But as long as we stay below the middle kelp, that is going to be a challenge. So the goal is to play short-term short, while at the same time buying time. I like how it based too. And that's why I like C. C is like my favorite bank to trade. I don't know why. I just love trading C. And it pays well. It paid well Friday as well too. And that coincides with BLK. So I can see BLK going for upper kelp. I can see banks doing well going into the new year, but you have to buy time. I'm just gonna go between some charts. I drew this chart for months now. Sorry, guys. If you look at C, this is, I mean, you can call it a bear flag. You can just call it a crazy, look how many years this is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 years. C has been stuck between 83 and $9. That's been the range. And if you want to draw a trend line from that 9 all the way to where we are now, this is what happens. You can see where price is at. Price is getting tighter and tighter, and it's moving up. So what I'll do here is I'll duplicate this trend line and I'll move it slowly upwards and see where we get, where everything starts to meet here. Targeting that middle celt on the monthly. And once we get above that, and I'm going to draw another horizontal, I'm going to duplicate my horizontal line here. I'm going to drop it down to here because this is going to be that key area. This level, I'm going to duplicate one more because this is 14 SMA and here is your middle celt. Once he gets over 59.35, I'm looking at 2024 80 calls. That's a 30-point move. And I like the 2024 because for January 2024, and I would like the 70s for possibly December of next year, 2023s. But I'm just giving you guys the bigger picture, you know. I'm very proud of everybody. I've been watching you guys that update daily profit and goals, P&L, and you guys own your trades. You own your faults. And what I mean by that is you figured out, okay, I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have taken these trades. I shouldn't have traded this. I should have just focused on this and sticking to my rules, because as soon as you break those rules, what happens? It gets careless and you start losing. You just continue to lose and you go into a spiral. That's why I always say it's good to take a break, pull back, take a step back. That's always important. People don't understand that. Sometimes a month is good. People don't understand that. Or the longer the break, the stronger you come back. It's like me. When I play handball, I don't play handball for a long time. It's like, dag, like I got better at it, you know, and that's what I'm saying. And a lot of people don't understand that. Like, it's good to take breaks, but even after wins. So you got C, ROKU. I have a few names that I like long term, but the best time to buy will be 2024 and end of 2023. ROKU, I was already telling you guys this. This thing was in a box already. This monthly box targeting lower celt. It's around 75. Leaps for this would be around 2024, 200 leaps, or the 150 leaps from here. That's over 100% on the stock itself. So that's the 14 SMAs, 126. That's coming into 112. So 110s are going to be great for March and on. I like those. We have those. We have our ROKU leaps. Don't forget that as well. I like this bottom. It might be a rounded bottom, depending on how sharp it is. We got earnings coming up next year as well, too. I think that's around February. I love how the celts are. Once we get above that lower celt, it's came on. This might be a great long-term buy just for options. I don't care about the company itself. I'm not one of those that fall in love with fundamentals. I fall in love with price. Why? Because that's what's going to pay the bills. But I wish there was a lot more of you guys here. Sometime this week, I definitely want to do a live to where we are all talking. Y'all can raise your hands to speak, and I will give you the mic. Whatever questions you have, you could do open questions. I want to tweak your mental. I want to just help your mental. All right, guys. I appreciate you all for joining. We're going to be live tomorrow since I got it all set up on here. I'm going to be at the coffee shop. So I'm going to be in your ears majority of the time. I'm going to be switching back and forth to mobile as well when I'm driving. No, I'm not gonna drive and trade, which I do, but don't tell nobody that. But I appreciate you guys for joining. You have questions, my DMs are always open. If FAQ Basics doesn't have the questions, the answers to you, I'm here. Remember, during trading hours, we trade. So questions, if you can save them for pre-market or after market, please. Too many questions during trading hours while people are trading, it definitely messes up their trading cycle. I'm just letting you know that because it does that for me. But again, thank you guys for joining. My DMs are open, okay? And if I don't answer right away, I am there.